Welcome to the Rochester, New Hampshire History Podcast, a monthly show that will shine a light on a piece of history that has been all but forgotten.
This is the 13th installment of the Then and Now series, a continuing look at Rochester's passage through time.
This building on Hancock Street was St. Mary's Church, which was built in 1868. In 1891, the church moved to Charles Street, and this building became St. Mary's School. The school closed in 1952, and on this site today you will find Arthur's Market. This is the 1940s, and we are still on Hancock Street. This large building that dominates the street is Farmer Auto Body. Today, this building is still standing and is a Napa Auto Parts business. Starting in the 1960s, and for decades later, Bowlaway Lanes was the place to go for bowling leagues, tournaments, and even birthday parties. The building also contained the popular Hebert's Barbershop. Dennis Hebert, shown here, was the owner of Hebert's Barbershop. Now this location does not offer bowling or haircuts, as it is the site of an AutoZone.
On North Main Street, a great restaurant was replaced by another great restaurant. On South Main Street, a restaurant was replaced by an urgent care. The school on Chamberlain Street was known as Rochester Junior High. At one point, 7th and 8th graders went there, and eventually it was reduced to only 7th grade students. Now this building is a school for elementary students.
The Gonick School on Railroad Avenue was built in the 1890s, and over 100 years later is still standing and operating as a school. This is the 1980 centennial celebration of the Nancy Loud School in East Rochester. Back then, the pool was behind the school instead of the current location next to the street. Sadly, this historic school is closed and will be demolished in the near future. This is the Main Street School, built in 1856, torn down around 1905. Can you guess what building replaced it? If you guessed the Rochester Public Library, you would be correct.
Starting in the 1940s, Terrian's Furniture was a mainstay in downtown. Now this location is Union Street Antiques. Rivers Camera Shop was a business that started out in the 1960s on North Main Street. It used a distinctive marquee sign to advertise its store. Now this location still uses the old marquee sign, but the camera shop has been replaced with a health store. This is the old Hanson Public Playground with a view of Spalding High School. Now this location is a public basketball court.
It's 1928. The building next to City Hall was owned by Louis McDuffie. He was the mayor of Rochester and had a very short walk to get to work. The McDuffie House has been replaced with a street that goes to the City Hall parking lot. In 1901, Dominicus Hanson paved Hanson Street with 56,000 granite blocks, creating a cobblestone road. It was beautiful as it looked like a street from an old European city. After Dominicus's death in 1907, the city gained ownership of the street, and in 1949, the street was paved over with tar. The beautiful cobblestones disappeared. In the 1970s, you could buy your hockey skates, baseball gloves, and basketballs at TP Sports. Now this location is a store that sells action figures, video games, and similar items.
On South Main Street, the Fleet Bank became the Bank of America. Recently, this bank closed. The building is empty and is now for sale. Speedway Gas and Auto Garage are located on North Main Street. This ad is from 1961. Now this location is used for public parking. This is the Richards Block on Main Street in East Rochester after a heavy snowfall. And here is the same building without the snow piles. One of the businesses in this building is the Dana Wentworth Hardware Store, and this ad is from 1907. Now this location is a residential building.
The August 19th, 1948 edition of the Rochester Courier declared that Keay Baseball Field in East Rochester was one of the oldest baseball fields in the state of New Hampshire, if not the oldest. The old wooden benches on the historical baseball field has been replaced with professional-looking dugouts. Looking up Main Street of East Rochester around 100 years ago.
This ends the podcast. If you have any questions or comments, please email bobgriffinpodcast@gmail.com and come back next month for another episode of Rochester, New Hampshire History.